today we are discussing TikTok Shop versus Amazon. Where should you focus?
Ooh, I love it. This is going to be juicy.
Indeed.
Very topical.
Very important to today's conversation with
Yes.
many of our brands. So we are going to cover why is this important. If anyone is questioning, we are going to tell you why. Then we're going to cover what Amazon is good for. We're going to cover what TikTok Shop is good for. We're going to cover how you need to use them in tandem.
Mm-hmm. Come together. Oh, I love it. The hand actions. I love it. For those of you who missed it at home,
I'm
jump
learning.
and look at it on YouTube.
And then we are going to give our opinions on where we think it's going next.
Opinions are important.
Yes, indeed. So let's start with the top. Why should people care about TikTok and Amazon? So I've got some numbers which I think are quite interesting. TikTok are growing rapidly, which a lot of people already know. In 2025, they achieved 64.3 billion GMV, gross merchandise.
Just go off GMV.
They achieved 64.3 billion GMV, which was up 94% on 2024.
That's a big jump.
They're currently projected to be up 48% in 2026. So 64.3 billion. They're growing very fast.
Mm-hmm.
But what I found very interesting when I saw this is they are still not even in the conversation when it comes to Amazon. Amazon net sales of 2025, 716 billion. Okay?
Damn.
12% year-on-year growth.
Let's put that on screen. If David, our amazing editor, can show that on screen with the little size matters, essentially.
Size does matter in this case. And
When it comes to the size of your GMV.
although the conversation is very much around TikTok at the moment, which it should be because of the growth and the potential, we still need to almost reground it in the
Put that
fact
into
that
scale.
relax,
Perspective.
still be on Amazon first. It's not even a question, and we're going to get to that, which is people are asking the question, should I be on TikTok or Amazon? And we're going to explain. And this actually gives a big reason for why both.
There's context as to our thinking. Hint.
But we'll take this another level, and if people are not considering the importance of TikTok and Amazon for those two reasons, they might look at TikTok and go, well, I'm selling a product that is targeted at 50-year-olds. Why would I sell on TikTok when it's a bunch of kids? Now, here's what's interesting. The fastest growing demographic is actually older adults on TikTok.
Nice. Okay.
So
What are the numbers?
specifically the 35 plus age brackets, the 55 plus group is growing fastest by percentage. The 45 to 54 cohort grew from 7.9 to 9.2% between 2025 and 2026. The 55 plus group grew from 6.2% to 8.4% in the same period. So more and more of the older people.
This explains so much. Yesterday, I found my probably 60 plus former landlord on TikTok ripping it up, and I realized he's got like 30 reels on there, and they've quite a few views.
What's
I'm
he
impressed.
doing it on? Just real estate? What's he doing it on?
No, you're on real estate. He's just him and his trip to Venezuela.
Oh, really?
and then like the coffee shops he goes to. It's awesome.
Each to their own. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my dad also is 60
and your
now,
dad's on it too.
and he's on TikTok. And
If
What-
Mr. Rhymer's on it,
what I find funny
all the cool kids.
is even though our generation has been labelled as these iPad kid generation with no attention span and this addiction to TikTok, which I don't disagree with, I think we're actually in a weird period where we are part of it, but we actually understand it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think, especially from what I've seen anecdotally with my parents, my dad's now getting onto it, but because generally with technology, the older generation doesn't understand it to even get onto it in the first place. So now we've surpassed that. They've got onto it. But now I'm concerned they don't understand what's happening to them.
Yeah.
So they're stuck on it, which is possibly why we're seeing more and more people on it and then getting stuck.
So there's all these boomers who are on like this infinite
Just
doom scroll.
Because I walk into my living room. I don't live with my parents anymore. And I walk into my living room, and especially if recently I've sent my dad a TikTok, he loves like the not funny at all, by the way, like the AI cat videos when a cat like puts his middle finger up. He loves it. And I'll send him it, and then I'll just get him on a scroll for like the next hour.
And then you just know it's a doom scroll.
Yeah, he'll be sat in the living room just scrolling for like an hour, and my mum just listening to these videos on repeat.
So you're aware of what's going on. So what you're saying is your generation is aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And all these older generations are not aware of what's going on.
Exactly.
But they are nevertheless getting on the platforms,
Yes.
right? And because traditionally, the vibe is essentially younger generations TikTok and maybe Snapchat, which kind of gets ignored quite heavily. But also then you've got Instagram for this mid-range generation, and then you've got Facebook for the older grouping, right? That's the rule of thumb. But what the data you're suggesting is there is maybe a little bit of a shift in what's going on.
Yeah. And it's even happening on the other end as well of the age spectrum, because the largest demographic is now adults aged 25 to 34. And that's around 35%.
Yeah.
They've just overtaken the 18 to 24 category.
Would you say that's because they've just grown up? So they came on at a younger demographic age and they've just moved into this older category?
Yeah. Well, I think we've just been the guinea pigs, to be honest, because I am part of that now. I'm 25, part of that cohort.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I think that we've been the guinea pigs because this technology and this social media has just been developing, and now you're seeing a lot of legislation come in, for example, in the UK, banning 16-year-olds from going on social media.
Yeah.
So now I think a lot of governments and legislation is acknowledging the potential negative impact of this, which is why not only is it because we're getting older and we're still using it, but it's because they're actually stopping people that are younger from using it. One key point people need to remember amongst this TikTok hype is that 86% of customers still shop on Amazon, regardless of where they discover a product first.
And that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Because we see that a lot as well. So, all right, I want to talk a lot about that, but let's just link this back through to where we're going, because we're going to talk about the strengths of each platform.
Yes. So first we are going to talk about Amazon. So first of all, what would you say is a key defining point about Amazon as a platform?
Okay, so to think about Amazon and TikTok, because that's where we're going to go over this, imagine the full e-commerce sales funnel, right? You've got education and awareness at the top, and then you've got consideration and then conversion at the bottom. Amazon exists as a conversion machine, right? Because you're going to come on the platform, you're on there because you have a high intention to purchase. That's why people get on there. And you're going to explore the whole category for whatever you're looking for. You will see at least 20 to 30 potential results. So you psychologically feel like you've now understood and seen the market, and then you're going to purchase. Essentially, if you're on the platform, you are going to buy something. It's a question of which one you're going to buy. That's really where Amazon exists. And it does really well because there's also so much trust built into the system. It works as a really good mechanism for convenience, because people want a really simple way of purchasing whatever product they're after, and they know it's going to come the same day or the next day.
Yeah, it's unbeaten so far in terms of that last mile delivery.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of, like, in my opinion, their core strength and of this whole thing, because so many people will start their search there for a product. They have a high intention to purchase. They'll pick something, and then they'll get it the same day or the next day. And it's that whole flow and that cycle that makes Amazon a really strong incumbent, and what a lot of companies have tried to replicate.
Yeah, but what they're not so good at, which nicely brings us on to TikTok, is they are not so good at storytelling or discovery.
Exactly.
So
there's a big gap on that top half of the funnel.
And that's where TikTok comes in, right?
Exactly.
So what is TikTok good for in comparison?
And so the way that TikTok fits in is that because it's trying to anyway cover that full funnel. So there's already eyes on the platform, people are already there. You're going to get awareness and education on the platform. So if your product requires education or awareness or justification, and what I mean by that is justifying your price, which is quite an important part of this, TikTok can serve really well. Of course, there's Meta as well that exists in a separate space, but Meta doesn't have a conversion arm. TikTok has that whole conversion part. So you've done the education, awareness, you've done education, and built within the system is TikTok Shop and an ability to sell. But beyond TikTok Shop anyway is made up of several selling mechanisms, right? You've got your store page, you've got a search, which is pretty much like what Amazon does, but it's highly targeted based on your behavior. You have affiliates, and then you have this online live selling like QVC.
Telecommunications. What is it? Telesales.
Telesales, right? So it's like QVC, right? But run on the platform, and there's studios. There's a whole industry based around this. So there's different ways of getting to the customer and selling to the customer built within TikTok as well.
So TikTok is creating demand. Amazon is servicing demand.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it. If I think habitually on people's behavior, you probably, at least for most people now, maybe younger generations might be different. I'm not going to go onto TikTok with the purpose of finding a product to purchase. I may be going through in a social capacity, become aware of a product, get sold on why I want it, and then come through and purchase. However, hint to what's coming up next, that may change.
Yeah. You said in there as well, which I thought is worth picking up on, Meta don't have a conversion arm yet.
Meta did try and do selling. It didn't quite work. Of course, there's Facebook Marketplace, which is a mechanism for sales, but it's not quite the same as what Amazon and TikTok have. But they're going to apparently try this again, so watch the space.
Yeah.
Quick little thing that I forgot to mention as well on the TikTok side is they have fulfilled by TikTok as well, right? So FBT does exist, but it's very nascent and it's very early in its journey.
Yeah. Still, it's getting better, but even when I was looking into this a couple of years ago, it was really bad, and I'm sure it's got a lot better since, but it's still nowhere near. And yeah, we're going to come back to that when we decide where it's going next. Cool. So that's where they all are. Hopefully most people do know that these days. I don't think it's as new anymore on how important TikTok is and how you can use it. But what really matters is how you're using them both, because the question really shouldn't be which one should I focus on. It should really be how do I use them together.
Yes.
So we're calling this segment the Playbook.
Oh, I love this. The Playbook.
The Playbook. What is the Playbook? So for a brand, I think we need to take some scenarios here.
Yeah.
And we need to be like, okay, for a brand who is not on either, where should they start first?
Okay. Here's where I would begin. It depends on your product category. So please, this is heavily caveated by sector. But realistically, I would start on Amazon because there is going to be existing sales that take place there. And you want to have everything set up and ready to go because you'll potentially catch some sales just from there. That's the first bit. Then I'd go to TikTok, start pouring in customers at the top of the funnel through awareness, and then you're going to have people either buy on TikTok shop itself, or they will literally just swipe away, jump onto Amazon, search for the same thing, and buy through there.
I actually have a little disagreement on that.
Oh, tell me.
Not in the general point that you're making, but we talk about the importance of an audience. And when you have an audience, you can monetize anything. So even though I do agree that ultimately you need to build out that conversion machine to have something to convert when you drive people to it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just starting to create some content on TikTok while you're setting the Amazon up. You know, trying to just start some organic.
I don't disagree. The only thing is, and this is one of the differences about TikTok, and just the dynamic you want to think about and how it fits into your strategy, but it's very dependent on virality as well, right? So the cool thing about TikTok is regardless of how many followers you have, if your reel is good, it will show it to everybody. It doesn't care how many base followers you have. That's awesome. But you are dependent on your reel going viral to get a huge bit of awareness, right?
Which is
so the amount of effort you're putting,
thing.
and so if the amount of effort you're putting into creating these reels, if it's easy to create your reels, great. But realistically, there is like a fixed cost in terms of getting your Amazon account set up. That's fixed. And once it's done, generally, you don't need to do a lot of daily tweaks to your listings, whereas TikTok will require daily activity. That's why I'm like, go with this one, catch the people who are coming past already, and then start adding people to the funnel and just expand that out further through TikTok. That's my logic. Please, if you disagree, tell us in the comments. Leon's a very smart man. So, who do you agree with?
We'll see. We'll see in time. So, start with Amazon, then launch TikTok, especially for you. You mentioned how it depends on the category.
Yeah.
What would you say is the key difference in the type of category that
deciding
people are
which you'd go with? If your product is unique, is novel, or requires education or justification. So that is a consideration to factor in. Amazon, like we said, is not really good at educating. There is mechanisms to educate on platform. You can put videos in, you can have these banners, but you can't do deep education. And if your product exists in between two separate maybe even big categories, but is in between the two of them, then, or there is a demand, but it doesn't exist yet, you need to start with TikTok.
Yeah.
Build up the awareness and justify why, because your product might be really expensive compared to the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So justify that and use TikTok to give you that mechanism behind that.
I think what's really good with TikTok is because you're just scrolling to enjoy videos, you eventually get this product that comes up and you don't know that you want it, but then it's come up and it's like, oh, now I want it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the difference. Whereas with Amazon, it's like people are going on there to search directly for that product. And it's like, if you don't know that you need that product or want that product, you can't necessarily find it very easily.
Yeah,
whereas with
you just
TikTok,
don't know it's there.
it's just served to you.
Exactly.
And I think it's more than just a category. I think the category is a good starting point, but you touched on it there. And we don't like to say price is the be all and end all on Amazon, but it's getting more and more and more and more and more important. The more and more cheaper competitors are breaking into every single category. There is a lot of demand on Amazon. I think when I touched on the start, the numbers and the actual scale of Amazon compared to TikTok, this is not to say that demand doesn't exist already on Amazon.
Yeah.
Depending on the category. And for a lot of commodity-based categories, the demand is massive still on Amazon.
Yeah.
But the problem a lot of people face is, unless you are price competitive in a lot of those commodity spaces, you're never going to be able to break into the top four. So it's not even, because you probably think commodity, not really a category that TikTok need to worry about. But if you're not competitive on price, how are you going to break in without getting demand to your listing?
Because the idea, what you're doing in having an expensive product is you want to build a brand. And to build a brand, you need to kind of build the logic behind it. And so why the price is there, why it's structured, how it's positioned, all that stuff. Whereas if you're going to commodity and you're selling based on price, yes, they will have a brand, but realistically, you're not trying to build a really big brand. You're really shifting volume. And that's the important bit. And if you want to have people who stay with you because you got a really expensive price, you may be selling not just your price, but you'll be selling your vision, your purpose in being, your philosophy as to why you exist. And that's where TikTok comes in.
Yeah. And speaking of TikTok, there's a lot that a brand can do when they get onto TikTok.
Yeah.
A lot of different types of content they can make, a lot of different types of ads they can run. And how do you find, I guess, the needle amongst the haystack of what's important? Where should I focus on first? Because TikTok is so much newer compared to Amazon. Amazon people have had time and years to understand, okay, what really matters. Whereas TikTok, people are still figuring that out. So we've got a few that are key starting points that you should look for with TikTok, right? So we mentioned content. TikTok is a content platform.
Yep.
What kind of content are people finding success with? First of all, their own organic content is very important.
Yep.
Because first of all, that's free.
Yes.
Granted, people are probably thinking, I don't have time or resource to make that free content. So there is cost with it, but you're not having to pay anybody else generally to make that content. That also allows you to control massively the narrative of your brand. So that's one. The other is creators.
Yes.
Micro creators, affiliates, reaching out to those people who have got, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a massive following. This is the trend we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's more about quantity of creators with relatively small audiences that is adding up and generating that demand across all these different audiences. Well, I've been thinking a lot about where I think this is going next, because as much as it's useful for people to hear how to sell on these platforms now and how to utilize these platforms now, the pace that this is moving means that we actually need to be thinking, okay, what's happening next? And I've actually got a lot of problems with TikTok.
All right, the man's got beef.
Which is funny from, I guess, someone in my demographic.
Yeah.
I should be buying on TikTok. I bought on TikTok Shop like once. I've got friends who buy on it a lot more often than me. But yeah, I mean, I'm 25 and I would never go to TikTok first to buy.
Yeah.
I think it's got, if we're considering, is TikTok going to take over? Which is possibly what a lot of people are thinking. I think it's got a lot of problems.
Well, the first one is a GMV, right? The numbers already tell us.
Yeah.
It's got a long way to go before it can take over.
Yeah, it's not even close. And I think there's more micro level problems as well with TikTok. Even though it's getting itself out of this name of being that fake, dodgy site, like the Temus, the Sheins, the Wish.coms, it's still so dodgy. I mean, you've got so many
a lot of cowboys, right?
fake, cheap knockoff sellers. I was speaking to Lucy about this recently. She buys on TikTok Shop a lot more. I think probably more along the average of what my demographic does, and still getting scammed. Like, she got scammed. I'm sure she'll love me saying this, but she bought a jacket for £33 and got scammed and never got it back. And for me, she's a bright person.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so imagine what's happening to the boomers.
yeah, it's a lot harder to scam. My dad actually got scammed as well. Come to think of it, but that happens a lot more easy. So I think there's still a lot of that going on. And even though we're seeing the bigger brands move over to it, I just don't know how they're going to eradicate that, really.
Well, I think so. So what you're touching on there is the trust element. So Amazon spent so much money and time building equity and trust into the Amazon whatever and the Prime badge. Those two things are so fundamentally important to them, to the point where they would much rather deactivate a listing and have you prove your innocence than have a customer receive a bad or have a bad experience, right? They're really quick to do that. I don't think TikTok's done that yet, or as aggressively, and so that affects that brand equity. So I think that's a really important point to acknowledge, because you're buying on Amazon because you just know, you're so confident it's going to come the same day or the next day, and if it doesn't, Amazon will step in and back you.
Yeah, and then here's my next point. TikTok is investing so much into discounts. I've seen this with my own eyes.
Yeah.
They invest. So if you're a brand, you can go on the platform and they will fund discounts for your products. And again, like with the amount of sellers on there, that is an incredible investment into discounts. I've not seen the numbers on this. I would like to. And I'm just thinking, how long can that last? Because what is actually becoming a bit more of a trend these days is a lot of like YouTube creators are doing comparisons of, here's the same product. I found it on Amazon and TikTok. It was cheaper on TikTok. We're seeing that trend happen quite a lot. And I think a big reason of that is TikTok are investing into discounting for their sellers. How long can that last?
This is a question of business strategy, but we know that Amazon initially was known as the everything store, where everything is probably the cheapest, and we know that Amazon will deactivate your listings. Well, no, they don't deactivate. They will turn off the buy box on your listing if it's available cheaper on another major website that they monitor. So we know that occurs, but I think this is TikTok's attempt to do two things. One, get people onto their site to purchase.
Of course.
And two, people in the demographics that make up the majority of their consumer base don't have as much expendable income. So they're going to be more reliant on cheaper products. So how long can it last? My feeling is a long time, because it's a really big company. This is a really big play for them, and they'll probably take a long-term view on it, as opposed to other companies, #Argos, where that view wasn't taken. Though admittedly, going back to be fair to Argos, which is a flashback to another episode, their products will often be cheaper than on Amazon too. So
you're still trying to get that Argos board.
Man, I still want Argos. I am a big believer in Argos. I think you have the foundations.
So patriotic of you. I'm not done.
Okay, tell me more.
Done.
The man has a list of things.
This is arguably the most frustrating thing that I see on the platform, is that you mentioned it before, and I think there's two that merge into one here, which is just go viral.
Yeah.
There's a massive survivorship bias on the platform, which is all you need to do is go viral. We can talk about how that impacts stock as a separate point, but people just forget how hard it is to go viral. I mean, we've seen so many brands, so many people try to make content, and will be making content even on a daily basis for months and months and months, and it never happens. And because it's really tough, there is a massive amount of luck that go into it, but there's also a massive amount of mastering the art of content creation, which takes iterations and time.
Yep.
We spoke to Rob on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he said that the first thing he did is make 100 videos daily. And I think that's quite a trend amongst many successful content creators. They're making 100 videos before they're even looking at what they've done. So this idea of just go viral is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
And that is organic content, but where I think it links is the affiliate content I'm seeing on TikTok is so bad. Again, we're talking a survivorship bias where there is a few good affiliates with much bigger audiences that are driving very good results for brands.
Yeah.
But I scroll on TikTok and I see the most forced, worst ads created by these affiliates. And if you think about their motive, all they want to do is make commission. It says it in the corner, commission paid. They're just getting 100 products in, creating a quick 10-minute video. This is this. I love it. I've been using it for years. You've used it for 10 minutes. It's so forced and it's so fake. And if you compare it to dating, if someone's coming into a bar and you've got this guy who's, walking up to girls and really forcing it, is it ever going to work? It's funny, actually. It's James Smith who compares dating to marketing a lot, isn't it? But it's so forced. That's my big problem with it. It is so forced. And so many people are failing on TikTok as well. There's a massive survivorship bias behind it.
So I think the challenge for brands then, and what you're touching on, and I think it's true, is that it's hard to build a business around a need for virality. And the other part of this as well, because it's an awareness play, right? You need to get awareness out. So you can either, as Will has said, go to one big influencer and just get one big blast out, or you can go out to lots of micro influencers and get lots of touch points out. The business, the mechanism behind it requires you to send hundreds of samples a month. So you're going to invariably get you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs dating to get those princes that you need. So I think it's hard to build a business around that, or you can, but you just have to be aware that that's the world you're going into.
Yeah.
Okay, so to summarize where things going, my feeling is that firstly, TikTok is a long way to go to catch up to Amazon, just in sheer volume of sales. But it's definitely the leader when it comes to education, right? So, and the amount of how long you'll spend on the platform. So in terms of education and that side, amazing, long way to go on the sales side. But that feeds the whole thing, which is the two need to go together. And not just TikTok and Amazon, but you need to be thinking about Amazon and marketplaces in general are designed to be conversion machines. They're not education machines. So you need to have your education mechanisms, whether it's Meta or TikTok in this case, they need to be doing what they're really good at, which is educating people about what's going on, getting the word out there, telling people what your product does, building the market, and justifying your price. And then either buying on platform, whether it's TikTok Shop or what Meta does in the future, or swiping, literally a thumb swipe away and getting onto Amazon, typing the product, finding it there, see the reviews are good, price is good, getting it the same day, next day delivery, boom, I'm sold. And you've just made a conversion. So have the two things come together. And we see this consistently with all of our brands. If they do the education side really well, the conversion side flies.
Yeah. And in terms of the future, it's looking very unlikely that TikTok anytime soon, if ever, are going to be able to match Amazon's ability to convert at the bottom of the funnel. So should people be taking their attention away from Amazon? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Have the two fit together.
Yeah.
Make them do what each is really good at. Great. Well, hopefully that's answered this little battle between Amazon and TikTok Shop and where you should focus your time and your attention going forward. But if we've missed anything, or if you have a difference of opinion, let us know. Genuinely want to hear from you. It'll make Leon smile. Side note, Leon's also said that if we hit over 1,000 views on any of our videos, he will do the red Speedos on the pod. So, hey, make the people happy.
Just to clarify, I said average views per video, so we need to be hitting 1,000 every video.
Over 2 or 3 videos. So, make the people happy, tell them to subscribe, send this to your friends, and let's get those red Speedos going. Peace.
See you next week.